Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching The Wire Wrap. I'm Sravasti Dasgupta. Joining me today is Saba Naqvi, senior journalist and political commentator, and MK Venu, he's founding editor at The Wire. Today we are going to discuss the developments in Maharashtra, where Devendra Fadnavis is all set to take oath as Chief Minister. Ajit Pawar is going to take oath as Deputy Chief Minister. Now these developments come almost 11 days since the Mahayuti, led by the BJP, won a decisive mandate in the state, and questions have been raised that why did it take so long for the government formation to take place, given that they have won such a sweeping mandate in the elections. To discuss all this, let's come to you first, Saba. How do you see this delay in government formation? Because the Mahayuti has been putting up a front of united alliance, and there's been no kind of disagreements. They've always come out together, addressed joint press conferences. But the fact that it's taken over 11 days for this swearing-in ceremony to take place, does that raise some questions in your opinion?
Of course, it is. It's about a power grab. Even though they have, the BJP has done very well. Eknath Shinde, the former chief minister, has done very well. Ajit Pawar has amazingly got a huge number. It is simply the matter of we have reached a point where the national party is in a position to now tell the regional guys that, hey, now we are going to sit on this chair. And they utilized them to break the parties. They gave them good positions. One was the chief minister and one was the deputy chief minister. But now the BJP is going to be center stage.
But you're saying the BJP is going to be center stage, and obviously the number of seats that the BJP has won, they winning 133 MLAs on its own. So that's a huge mandate for the BJP. They don't really need Ajit Pawar or Eknath Shinde, one would say. But how must one see the role of Eknath Shinde really? As Sabha was saying, that these parties were broken into and they went different ways. Now, on their own, after the factionalism of these parties, they've done really well in this election. But what happens to the future of Eknath Shinde, given that the BJP is now in the pole position?
Yeah. No, that's a big question because, Eknath Shinde, they use Eknath Shinde to destroy Uddhav Thackeray, Shiv Sena, uh, uh, deprive Shiv Sena of its whatever symbol, party organization, and they use Ajit Pawar to really drive a wedge in the Pawar Sharad Pawar camp, and consequently the Marathas got splintered. So, and BJP's one big aim was always not to let Marathas consolidate and use their clout collectively, as it were. Like they don't want Jats to dominate Haryana, they never wanted Marathas to. That was their overall plan from the very beginning, right? So, and that's what led to the splintering of the Maharashtra non-BJP formations, and they succeeded in that. And now they are sitting pretty. And as some newspapers reported, Fadnavis had made a claim that I'll come back with a big with a thumping kind of mandate, and they've done it. Uh, so so the question is, what where do people like Shinde, Maratha leaders, so called, who got so much who got the Marathas behind to vote for BJP as part of the alliance. Where do they go from here? What does Ajit Pawar do? Ajit Pawar, we used to be told that Ajit Pawar was sick of being number two. He's still number two. Shinde wanted to be number one. He's number two. So, I always say, the Marathas is a tangential view. Huh? Somebody told me that the Marathas always had this great sense of disillusionment or whatever, disappointment, that in the 19th century or 18th century they came very close to capturing Delhi, whether under British rule or under Mughal, but they could never rule Delhi in a sustained way. Now they are struggling to rule Mumbai, Maharashtra. So it's a very sad state for the Maratha formations.
But whose victory is it? I think this is an interesting question that a lot of people are talking about. That is this Fadnavis's victory because he was the BJP's man in the state, or is it the Eknath Shinde government's victory because it was on his back that the Mahayuti did kind of fight the elections, whether it's the Ladki Behna scheme, all of that was modeled on his face. So is it right for Shinde's camp to really claim victory, or with the BJP's tally of 133, is the BJP right to claim victory? How do you see?
I don't think it's a one or the other situation. There is little doubt that Eknath Shinde managed a phenomenal feat in this election, because very rarely I have never known of a party which is a regional party built around a dynasty, which is what the Shiv Sena was. Just imagine somebody walking away with the party, taking away the Congress MLAs, and then becoming the real Congress under the nose of Rahul, Priyanka, the whole lot, which is what Eknath Shinde managed to do. Let's accept that. He walked away with the MLAs of the Shiv Sena, and he still won. And he certainly, I also traveled not much, but a little bit in Maharashtra. He certainly had an image of his own by the time the elections came around. So to say that he's got no future is an error, because he has established himself as a leader. He is hugely accessible. He's a Maratha. Plus, I'd also like to go back to something which we choose to ignore, because we just imagine the BJP is Hindutva and the others are not. Because I have worked on this theme of, right now we're talking about shrines all over India. Yes. So in Maharashtra, this will come out in a column, I've already written some of it. There is a series of shrines which have been attacked by the Shiv Sena much before they became sort of partly secular, which are Sufi shrines. And one of the people who led that attack in a place called Thane, which is where Eknath Shinde is strong, was Anand Dighe in a place, and Eknath Shinde again revived that attempt. So let's not forget that the Shiv Sena, original Shiv Sena, may not be the RSS, may not be force like the RSS or the BJP, but the original Shiv Sena, after experimenting with othering other communities, did settle on Muslims as the enemy. And there were a lot of actions which have already taken place in Maharashtra, which we think is something new that's happening in India right now. But those things already happen in Maharashtra under the Shiv Sena. So I know I'm diverting a little bit from the plan script, because I know about all this, I covered all this.
So in that
So
sense,
in that sense, Eknath Shinde's Hindutva was real to the foundational roots of his party. So Eknath Shinde is not going to go away anyway, whatever it is. And he has proven, he has managed. Imagine somebody walking away with Stalin's party. Imagine that, and saying we are the real DMK because you have not been true to the ideology of Karunanidhi.
true.
Imagine someone walking away with any. These are families run by family. So Eknath Shinde has already pulled off that first time ever a dynasty party. He has walked away with it.
No, what she's saying is right. The other big achievement of BJP here is that it broke an established dynastic party, which is the Thakres, from coming from the Bala Sahib Thakre lineage. They used Shinde to break Shiv Sena, but in the case of NCB, they used one dynasty to break the patriarch of that dynasty. So I mean, it's both, the strategy has been both brilliant and utterly cynical, and that's how the Maharashtrians generally received it during the Lok Sabha election.
But I think the question that a lot of people would have on their minds around this is the fact that if Eknath Shinde was the person in the last 2 years who kind of spearheaded the alliance in the state, he was the face of the alliance in piloting all these schemes, then he should have been the rightful chief minister. But in that case, the BJP already has the upper hand as a national party, and it has won more seats, and therefore Devendra Fadnavis is going to become the chief minister. Is that a fair deal for Eknath Shinde?
Look, I mean, it's not about that. Devendra Fadnavis is, what is unusual about Devendra Fadnavis is his caste. Not because he's a Chitpavan Brahmin, as the RSS leadership is. That's not the point here. Very rarely have Brahmins successfully ruled Maharashtra.
Yeah.
I think there has been Manohar Joshi in the past, and then Devendra Fadnavis. The leadership, the chief ministerial positions have mostly been held by Marathas, Dalits also. And just go through it. I think even Antule, once there was a minority guy also.
Dalit as in Shinde, you're saying, right?
Yeah. That's another Shinde. The thing about Maharashtra is there are surnames which you would think, which confuse. You have to clarify, is this a Is this a Dalit name or is it a Maratha name? You have that situation. I'm talking about even he has been.
Yeah, yeah.
But Marathas and also these are the so whereas so Devendra Fadnavis could not complete a term, right? And now he will have a full term because the numbers suggest he was likely to have a full term. So that's interesting because the social basis of Maharashtra. So what I have always called the politically dominant caste. So you have the Jats in Haryana and the Marathas in Maharashtra. Now, such castes are usually those who have a little bit of land who are vocal, which make it also seem that they are going to determine the ultimate choice. And always in a political scenario, it is the quieter castes who often pull the surprises these days.
Yeah.
You know, who are less vocal because they are not so socially confident. They don't have the latayat in their hand and they're not. So, the same sort of, in a perverse way, the similar thing has happened, but we cannot presume which I know about, is that some people in the Congress went and surveyed what went wrong in Haryana. Okay, and to their finding, there were all these theories going around. Dalits were mishandled. This was that many of the Jats actually did not vote for the Congress. They voted for the BJP. So these strong caste groups, which have land interests, which have business interests, if we deflect a bit, the Patels in Gujarat are the same. Land to city affluence, loud vocal. It's Hardik Patel sounded like he was going to topple Modi, and then he's quietly sitting in the BJP. These are castes which can be very vocal because they do not have social anxiety about their own domination. They will still dominate the land. They will still dominate jobs. They will still dominate the sort of people who are going to come up socially. Similar with the Marathas. And I don't, you have these surveys telling you this, but I can just sitting here tell you that half the Marathas would have voted for the Mahayuti. For all this talk that Sharad Pawar has managed it and that the Maratha agitation is managed and all, they would have voted for what towards the end started to look like the winning side, but a narrow win, not this scale of win. They would have voted that way. So these are all complex things. The only thing that I know is that the dominant caste, you can't even call them peasants because they have high rates of urbanization. Be it Jats, be it Maratha, be it Patels. I'm just giving you three examples. They will always also have a foot with whosoever comes to power, you know.
I think just to add to that a little bit, if in Maharashtra Shinde's future is different from what he may have thought it would be before the elections, the real bargaining power, some would say, is for him in the national scale, where Shinde has about, in the NDA, the Shinde-led Shiv Sena has 7 MPs. Now, this is crucial for the Modi government and on the parliament scale. So, could that be an important bargaining chip in Eknath Shinde's
Look, I just want to say one thing before the part of the bargain was it may have been Hindutva in his mind because when I look at the history through these narratives about shrines, Shinde was a Hindutva warrior. He really was. Uh, Aditya Thackeray may not be, you know. That was Shinde's background. He was running behind shrines and saying that this dargah should become a mandir. That's what he did, you know.
No, but
That's it.
Shinde,
But no, I'm just saying it was also enforcement agencies. So they're all safe now. Anything to do with Maharashtra is about property, land, wealth. So it's also that they're safe. The center is still here. There's nobody else replacing the Modi government at the center right now.
No, the fact that he's, of course, taken a backseat to Fadnavis as Fadnavis is becoming the chief minister, will these 7 MPs for the NDA
no,
become?
he'll have a, you're right, he will have some bargaining chip going into the future. And I don't think Shinde has asked for some, I don't know what portfolios, some important portfolios for his, he's asked for deputy CM ship, I read somewhere, for his son. Now, I don't know, we don't know whether he will
Yeah.
take deputy CM ship, we don't know. You'll have to watch for those signals. If he doesn't take deputy CM ship, uh, and if he doesn't get all the portfolios that he has demanded for his people, then he could be a thorn in the flesh. I mean, not necessarily in terms of having the capacity to destabilize the government.
Not a big thought.
No, but he'll be he'll create problems. There's no doubt about it. And I think he deep down there is no doubt that he feels that that the campaign that was run a lot of votes that the Mahayuti got uh, was because of the way he connected with the people during the brief tenure that he had as a CM, and the way he implemented many schemes, etc. And I think he has now a self image of a leader who has arrived. So that comes with a lot of ego also, right? He's not going to keep quiet. I don't think he's going to sit quietly and just take whatever comes.
All right, so we'll have to keep our eyes on those developments in Maharashtra. What we do know now is that Devendra Fadnavis is going to be Chief Minister, as returning as Chief Minister, in fact. But let's just shift focus a little bit to what Saba was mentioning earlier, the fact that shrines, mosques in India have become a point of contention now. Earlier last week, the Uttar Pradesh government has ordered a judicial probe after violence broke out in Uttar Pradesh's Sambhal, where 5 people were killed. And this whole issue has resonated in Parliament as well, with Akhilesh Yadav raising the issue, calling it a well-planned conspiracy. And yesterday, leader of opposition and Congress MP Rahul Gandhi sought to go to Sambhal to meet the victims' families, but he was not allowed to do so. In the Parliament as well, the opposition parties led by the Samajwadi party have been demanding a discussion on the violence in Sambhal, but that has not really happened, even though Akhilesh Yadav has mentioned, and Ram Gopal Yadav also in Rajya Sabha has raked up the issue during 0 hour. But the question, before we get into the Places of Worship Act, which is really the big question behind this violence, how do you see the developments in Sambhal and the fact that the Modi government is not giving in to the demands for a discussion in Parliament and strangely not allowing the leader of opposition to visit? We have had instances in the past where some major incidents have happened and all political leaders from various political parties have gone and visited families. But what is the sense in the Modi camp, in your opinion, that they don't want to have a discussion at all on Sambhal?
I think on Sambhal, a lot of the decisions would also be indicated by the UP government. Whether he, so just let's remember one thing that happened in this election. There were 9 by-elections, whether it was through voter suppression or whatever it was, Adityanath Yogi won this round. I'd also want to make another point about Adityanath Yogi. There has been this version that there are differences between him and Amit Shah, but there are 2 models that he's given the nation. I don't know how they can ever remove him. One is the bulldozer model, which the BJP guys love, and the other is batenge to katenge, which he produced just before this round of elections.
Yes, and that was used in Maharashtra
That
as
was
well.
used in Maharashtra, and there is some conversation within the BJP whether the PM, when he said "ek hai to safe hai," was modifying that or not. This is from within BJP circles.
Softening that.
Softening that, modifying that, or whatever. But let's not. Batenge to katenge came from Yogi Adityanath. The bulldozer model is Yogi Adityanath. So Yogi Adityanath is there to stay. So if he says nobody's going to walk into the district, I don't think it's a central thing. Now, about not having any debate in Parliament, it suits the Modi government to make it impossible for the opposition to function in ways that the Congress says it would like to have a debate. But so now, so you see, they are winning elections right now. What I believe has happened since the 24 mandate, where they lost a simple majority, they became a coalition government again, to now, is that the BJP has shown the capacity to be ruthless. There's no doubt about that. But they've also self-corrected in electoral strategies, which sections of the opposition have been unable to keep up with. So they are aware of that advantage going into the thing. They have corrected on visibility of Prime Minister, so on and so forth. They have become actually, where the BJP has always scored better is when it was this cult just around Modi. It was becoming an illogical structure, according to my analysis. Now that everybody is pitching in, from the Sangh Karyakarta to the middle
Especially the
class,
Sangh.
no, to the middle class engineers who understand technology, everybody is now pitching in, because they are now again becoming this lean, mean fighting force.
But the expectations that the opposition had after the 2024 elections is that with these increased numbers, they would be able to have a larger voice in Parliament. But that has not really happened in that sense. What the government wants, that is what happens. If they want a discussion, then a discussion takes place. If they don't want it, it doesn't happen. And that's kind of what's been happening even in this case. They did allow Akhilesh Yadav and Ram Gopal Yadav to rake up the issue, but a discussion that they've been wanting has not been allowed and is unlikely to be allowed. So the opposition's increased numbers not really giving them any advantage in parliament?
See, what do you do if after the Lok Sabha elections you had the same speaker, same Rajya Sabha presiding officers are the same in both houses. We know how they conducted themselves when uh, when BJP had much better numbers. So they are totally. I mean, they are exactly behaving the way they were earlier, and they're doing exactly what suits the BJP. So if the presiding officers don't allow discussion, uh, I mean, the, what is left for the opposition to do? They just walk out. So in the past, they most of the house was out, and they still were conducting business, and they were they were passing bills. So it's a no go situation for the opposition today. Although their voices they're much in the first session after the, if you remember, Lok Sabha election, you could hear their voice, in terms of the debate on the presidential address and the budget. They were opposition was pretty sort of charged up, But now, as Sabha says, slowly BJP has managed to wear them down again, or it's trying to wear them down again. But as Sabha just said, opposition will have to come up with uh, uh, some really innovative stuff, strategy. Just as BJP is coming up with its own, innovative strategy to consolidate their, power, whatever they lost, or the perception battle that they lost after Lok Sabha. They're trying to, win it back. So opposition will have to do the same. Now, for that, I think there is a problem there because Rahul Gandhi is focusing on the debate on Adani's all very valid issues, but the other India leaders are not. They don't want to discuss Adani. I think we'll have to work out some common ground. As Sambhal, maybe on Sambhal, uh, I believe Mamata Banerjee and others, everybody will endorse a debate on Sambhal. People may. Uh, I don't know, Sabha. What do you think? Which issue will actually bring back the opposition
So first of all,
together
I
in
think
full force? Yeah.
first of all, I think because Adani became an issue, not because of Rahul Gandhi. Rahul Gandhi they don't care about. It became an issue because of that US
Yeah.
indictment. So then Sambhal worked very beautifully for them.
For the in terms of
Narrative. I don't know how the BJP is able to do it, but there is this great strategy called
but I
diversion.
don't think Sambal would have happened
No,
keeping that in mind.
we just don't know anything, Venu. But even if it had happened, every channel is told to go there.
Yeah, you're right.
And
Channel is
they
not told to
have
go.
just right from the time the Maharashtra result came out, and the decision over the chief minister looked like it was dragging on. It's not Rahul Gandhi who's affecting them. The
No, no,
concern,
no. I'm saying that Rahul Gandhi pitched the Adani issue
yeah, no,
very
no, I'm not
strongly.
arguing with you. I'm
Yeah.
making another point.
Mhm.
They were concerned about the Adani issue not because of Rahul,
Mhm.
because of the US indictment,
US in
and
India.
that concerned them.
Yeah,
But
that is a US
but
indictment.
they
Yeah.
got their favorite dish on the table
Mm.
through the media.
Yeah.
That is Hindu Muslim. It is the tastiest dish for the Bharatiya Janata Party. They got that back. They got that with Sambal, and they even got Ajmer going.
Yeah.
So, which is what I want to come to right now, which is the fact that the Supreme Court is hearing challenges to the Places of Worship Act, which is behind all these slew of petitions that have been filed across various mosques and Ajmer, and even there's a letter that has come up for a survey for the Jama Masjid in Delhi. So, just to tell our viewers that the Places of Worship Act in the Supreme Court during the Ram Janmabhoomi case in 2019 had emphasized the importance of the act. The act, remember, preserves the character of places of worship as it was on 15th August 1947. But in May 2022, while hearing the case pertaining to the Gyanvapi Mosque case, former Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud, had observed that while the 1991 law barred changing the character of a place of worship, the ascertainment of a religious character of a place as a processual instrument may not necessarily fall foul. So this is the core really that is being used in all these petitions for surveying, just to find out whether there was a temple or not. So this is a kind of loophole in a sense.
So the Chief Justice
No,
of
it's not a
India,
loophole. It's a loophole created by Mr. Chandrachud.
Mr. Chandrachud, is a very wise, another Maharashtrian origin person, so erudite, so brilliant, so charming, and he has done more for the Hindutva cause than any sort of
Yeah, yeah.
full-time Sanghi might have done. He's left by doing this, and I'm sure he knew exactly what he was doing.
So, what is the way forward for this act? I mean, it's already opened the doors to
I think it will
such
have to
a.
be challenged again in the Supreme
It's
Court.
already in court, so
It's
the
already
court
in
is.
In fact, I would have expected that the Supreme Court suo moto, seeing what's going on, Ajmer, Dargah, they should have just suo moto said that reverse the earlier observation by the CGI. The, that sort of a
That
larger
you
bench should have reversed the observation, saying that
can
that
you do that? I mean,
no, I'm saying, of course they can do that.
no,
Why
they
not?
can, but you need
So
a process.
Chandrachud reversed so many
Yeah.
orders of the Supreme Court. He did so.
No, I know,
So
but I'm
no,
just saying.
oral observations
no,
that he made.
no. Then they should make an observation which they should give an order saying that an oral observation has resulted in so much strife in society that we pass an order, cease and desist. Such oral observation should not lead to other courts giving orders for survey, and no more surveys. That should be the order. There is nothing wrong with that order. No more surveys is an order which deserves to be passed today.
But the question that these groups would say is that what is wrong with the survey? That we are not violating the act by just seeking to find out whether there was a temple before this. So, what is the argument to that?
No, there's no argument. I mean, the point is, can it be done or can it not be done? Right now, what the former Chief Justice made it, there's no argument. We can go down an endless path. Dig here, dig there. I mean, that's
No,
the.
what I'm saying is the Supreme Court has the powers to do it.
No, that's another point. I'm just saying that right now, as things stand right now, I'm not getting into commenting on something which I don't understand about the law. What can the Supreme Court do now? As far as I know, right now, after what Mr. Chandrachud did, anyone can go anywhere and put in, they have a right to do so. And there are many committed people in this country, many Hindu senas, Hindu that, they've always been there. The larger question will be that, and it's low hanging fruit actually, there's not much to it. You are some group here. What is the Hindu Sena which has gone and done this Ajmer Sharif petition? You can just do it. You can just be in the news. You can. So a lot of that is also part of it. The larger issue will be what is going to be the considered view of the RSS and the BJP on this larger process. Right now, they're being very democratic. They're letting the guys do what they want. Will there be a view on this which will see a division between the masjid and the dargah? There are some who have that question because dargahs are often joint sites of worship. But these joint sites of worship, instead of being some plural, often have an inbuilt conflict in them also. There is some people will say it is a Baba's grave, somebody will say it's a Peer's grave. However, if you look at the older RSS commentary on such things, they will say that is because all Indian Muslims were Hindus first. So this whole Sufi experience. The other catch that is actually contributing to this in a very invisible way. I'm not even getting into the mosques. I'm getting now into the dargahs right now. Has been Pakistan always went on the path of the state and militant groups advocating extreme Islam. Now Bangladesh is also going in that path. So they also attack Sufis. Now what does Sufism involve? Grave worship and music, some of it. So in that context, it's a South Asian unraveling that we are witnessing. Some at the hand of Muslim extremists, and here at the hand of Hindu groups, the kind who take out Ram Navami processions and insist on going in front of Dargah. So it's like low hanging fruit for them. When you have this kind of an open season, which the Chief Justice made it possible to do so. So that's why anything can happen at this point. Anyone can be more loyal than the king and go after any shrine. That is what the situation is right now. The intriguing question for me is, will where do you go? How for? I mean, let's see. What happens.
My point, Shavasti. Okay, I'll reformulate what I said, and I'll put it more simply. The Supreme Court can easily today say that even if Chandrachud, former CGI, did say that determination of the character of a place of worship is not prohibited under the Place of Worship Act. Supreme Court should say that, however, it is creating so much chaos and strife and disharmony in society that any such move should have the endorsement of the Supreme Court. They should form a committee of the Supreme Court, which can happen, of judges, and say it can only be decided by that committee, and no other court, lower court in the country, can arbitrarily give an order for determination of the character of a place of worship. What is wrong with that? I think that it's perfectly in order for something like this to happen.
But the BJP itself, Saba, I want to ask you, is not saying anything much about this. It's coming from these smaller groups. So, what is the BJP stance on then? It's very, I mean, it's not overtly.
Why should BJP say?
No, but it's not overtly making any.
If you ask them, they will say कि वो court court हमने तो कुछ नहीं किया. What Yogi will say is a different matter. If he'll say about Sambhal or whatever, Yogi. But I'm just saying to you that please recognize it's not just the BJP that won Maharashtra. It's not about his by-elections. He still lost to Mamata Banerjee, won every by-election. So that's not the point. But Yogi has given two models, and people tend to forget that.
No, there is let's face it, there is a Sangh Parivar ecosystem which is at work.
Yeah.
Why should BJP say anything?
Why should they say anything?
It's happening. And here I would like to remind people that Mohan Bhagwat a few years ago called Muslim public Muslim intellectuals, had a discussion with them on how to dial down Hindu-Muslim tension in the country, how to create harmony, said a lot of good things. And S.Y. Qureshi, former CEC, and Najib Jung, former Lieutenant Governor of Delhi, were part of that meeting. They came out and they gave an interview to The Wire, Karan Thapar. The interview is still available. And they recounted everything that Mr. Bhagwat said. And one of the things he said was that RSS will make all the effort to dial down tensions. Muslims are very much integral part of our society. It doesn't matter whether they call themselves Indian Muslims or Muslim Indians. Very, very conciliatory. And after that, all these things happened, So what is the conclusion? These guys are all the time talking in folk tongues, saying something, doing something else.
Yeah, I think a related development that we can move on to is the final topic that I want to discuss is the beef ban that has been announced by the Assam cabinet. And this is the Assam cabinet's decision to ban the consumption of beef in hotels, restaurants and public places as well as public functions. This was announced by Chief Minister Himanta Biswa Sarma on Wednesday. Now, interestingly, this is also linked to by-elections because this took place, the decision came about in a form of a challenge that was taken up by Himanta Biswa Sarma himself, because he said he responded to allegations that the BJP had distributed beef for electoral gains in the state's Muslim majority Shamaguri assembly constituency, and he said that he asked the Congress leaders that if by banning beef in the state, the Congress and the would be on board with it, and then he went ahead and did that. So how do you see this ban in Assam? It was already prohibited earlier, but now, as he himself said, we are taking it a step forward. So this is kind of proceeding on various levels across the country.
He was also in charge of Jharkhand, and he must be in a huge rage right now that all his plans for Jharkhand, which was basically communalized the Adivasi narrative, flopped. Anyway, again, I want to get back to caste because it's a very interesting thing. There were usually he's a Brahmin. Again, not traditional rulers. He has to prove it harder and harder over there. It is the Ahoms who ruled Assam. There's a caste thing. Tarun Gogoi Ahom. His predecessor was not either tribal Adivasis, but Himanta. Right now, BJP has 3 Brahmin chief ministers. Assam, Devendra Fadnavis, and some Sharma, I think, in Rajasthan. I forget his full name. 3. It's very interesting, huh?
You forget his name because most people won't remember his name.
No, I'm making a point to you.
He's not such a non-entity.
Somebody who understands Assam tells me that Himanta has to constantly, therefore, prove something else. Because it is the Ahoms who rule Assam.
Besides, he's all the time competing with Adityanath. He wants to be.
That's a national, no, but there is an Assam narrative.
Level,
No, but Himanta is a very strong, smart guy. He's a survivor. He's played all the underground, overground games of Assam politics. I knew him. So I know how shrewd he is. He was Tarun Gogoi's right hand in the Congress. Then he shifted to the BJP. In the BJP, he's playing a game, but there's also this element I've gathered that he has to constantly prove something there. So he's playing the Hindu Muslim card quite openly over there, and he runs it. He's also got access to a whole channel is run by him, which is influential in Assam. So this is his thing too. I don't think there's any competition between him and Yogi.
He in his mind he wants to do better than Yogi in terms of, or at least emulate Yogi in his mind. I mean, in his imagination.
No. I mean, you can actually have a conversation with him. It's hard to imagine that. Hardly to believe.
With Yogi.
No, with Himanta.
Hemanta.
If you get him on the off thing, he's
you're saying that you can have a conversation with
Himanta Biswa Sarma was a traditional politician who, there's a saying in Hindi ki Naya Musalman has to prove himself.
Oh, yeah.
So when you convert newly, then you have to prove the faith. He's doing that partly, but it also works for him. There's a social dynamic at work. He is not being in a home or a tribal makes it contingent on him to behave in a certain way and to play up that identity.
I remember Saba. I mean, you know Arun Jaitley well, but there was a time when BJP, when Arun Jaitley was alive. This is 2014, 15, 16. He used to say that in regard to beef, he used to say that BJP believes that culturally areas where beef is a habit, we should not interfere with it. Any in specific reference to Goa, he said that.
But this has also been the BJP's argument for generally the Northeast.
The whole Northeast, beef, pork, anything you have.
Yeah.
And then,
but is that changing? My question is that changing now? No, what Arun Jaitley said, is it changing?
No, I don't think it's changing in Goa at all. But I want to know one thing. Since you've raised this question, you might have done this research. How much of what kind of beef is allowed in Assam?
So there's a distance that was allowed. There's a perimeter that could be where a sale was allowed, but that was a 5-kilometer radius of temples and satras.
No. I'm saying like all over India, buffalo meat. Cow is allowed in Bengal. It used to be allowed in Kerala.
No, but there was a slaughter ban in Assam already. Yeah.
So then what are we talking about?
So the Assam Cattle Preservation Act prohibits slaughtering of cows, but restricts the slaughter of certain other cattle and the sale of beef in predominantly
This is for buffalo.
Yeah.
So he's restricting buffalo now.
And this was restricted in predominantly areas inhabited by Hindus, Jains, Sikhs. So now that has been extended across, that there will be no sale, purchase, or in restaurants and hotels.
They can do it in their homes because there's some parts of which are fully Muslim districts.
Yeah, so that's the whole question around that. How far is this going to go in the Northeast? Because in the sense, Himanta Biswa Sarma is seen as the BJP's face in the...
I don't think they tried in any Northeast state. They would be insane to do that. They would be frankly insane.
But he's been the face of the Hindutva experiment in the Northeast and has brought gains for the...
How can you do it when there are no Hindus, when you're a fully Christian population? So you can do it in Assam. I mean, honestly, you can do a little bit in maybe Tripura. I don't know. I've never been there. But how are you going to do Mizoram? What Hindutva? Oh, Nagaland.
You never know. Anyway.
I mean, honestly, I had to say that. Hindutva is for Assam only and for himself. It's for the great Himanta Biswa Sarma, the great gatekeeper of the Northeast right now. Very shrewd man, by the way. That he sounds so toxic is interesting, but he's shrewd. He was completely Congressy, and he gave very colorful reasons why he left the Congress. So it was because he felt he was the next guy in line for Tarun but then Gaurav Gogoi came back. So it was all about, again, dynasty family. So I think we all have to take a deep breath and realize that our politics, we are pretty messed up actually.
So your final thoughts, Venu, on this Assam's beef man, and whether he's the front man in BJP's front man in the Northeast, is this going to mean wider implications for the BJP strategy over there?
I don't think it has any wider implication. I think it's of a piece with what Saba just said, strategy to divert attention from Adani, this, that. The real problem. So you let people talk about beef, let people talk about Dargah, Ajmer Dargah, and let people talk about Sambhal. They want BJP is damn good at diverting outrage. So they want. They've now made almost an art and a science of how to how to divert outrage among liberals and the opposition in decimal points. Some 5% there, 10% there. But I'm very chuffed by the fact that the U.S. Treasury Secretary appointed by Trump, Scott Bessent, was Soros's fund manager some years ago. So now let these people interact with Soros's former fund manager, Scott Bessent.
All right, so we'll have to keep our eye on all these developments on how they really play out. Thank you so much, Saba and
My
Venu,
pleasure.
for
It's been
joining
fun.
us. And thank you to our viewers for watching.